Hey, welcome back everybody. This is episode number 4 of this tutorial series on Arduino for complete beginners. You can find the series playlist in the description. And let's get started. Let's now create your first real Arduino program. So what are we going to do in this first program? Well, there is an already existing LED directly integrated on the Arduino board, so we don't need to add any external hardware. We can just try to make this LED blink. Note that depending on your Arduino version, the LED may be located in a different place, but it will not be very hard to find. So back to our program here. You have void setup and void loop. So now you know that void setup is the function that will be called first and will be called only once, and then void loop will be called after setup and will be called an infinite amount of time until you simply restart or power off your Arduino. So because we are using an LED, we need to set it up, okay, on the void setup function. Okay, and the LED is actually connected to a digital pin on Arduino, so we are going to see what are digital pins a little bit later on this course. And the first thing we need to do when we use a digital pin is actually to set it up with the pin mode function. So pin lowercase and then M uppercase pin mode, and you can see it should turn orange or at least a different color. Okay, if you have this, it's good. Means that the function has been recognized as an Arduino function. So the number of the pin here is 13. This is simply the pin where the LED, the integrated LED, is connected to. And then we can put a comma. So we open the parentheses, 13. We can put a comma and then all uppercase outputs. And this should turn blue here. We close the parentheses and we add a semicolon. The semicolon is very important. It means that this is the end of one instruction. So basically you are going to write the code, so one instruction per line, but this is not what defines the limit between instructions. The limit between instructions is the semicolon. So if you forget a semicolon, you will probably get an error here when you try to compile the code. So make sure you don't forget that. All right, and you can see here we have a comment. Maybe we can remove that comment. Okay, put your setup code here to run once, so we already know that. And maybe we can just add a new command here. Let's say set LED pin to output. So this is just a command, so this line will not be executed. But you can see a comment is very useful to say what we are going to do or to explain the next line. So this line is pretty obvious, but you can get a feeling of how to use commands. Great, so now the void setup will be executed once. The mode for the pin will be set to output. Okay, we have input and output. We select output because this is an LED. We want to control the LED, so output. And then in the loop, so I'm going to remove also that comment that we don't need. So in the loop, we are going to make the LED blink. So the first thing we can do is to call the function digital write. So again, you should see it turning orange. Okay, digital and then write with W uppercase. We open the parentheses and now we need to give also the name of the pin, so the number of the pin, 13, like we did here. And here we need to simply put high or low. So I'm going to put high, always uppercase here. Okay, it should turn blue. I close the parentheses and I don't forget the semicolon. So this basically will turn the pin number 13 to high, to state high. And what this means with the LED is that the LED will be powered on. Also, one little note here, you can see we have an indentation of 2 spaces here. So the indentation is actually not required for the program to work. This is just for readability, okay? So whenever I enter a new block of code like this with curly brackets, I'm going to use 2 new spaces for indentation. And after we have powered on the LED, what we want to do, if we want to make it blink, is of course we need to power it off. So digital write with pin 13, okay, the same, and then low, uppercase, LOW, we close the parentheses and the semicolon. All right, now the thing is, if we just start the program like this, what will happen is you will see the LED always high or always powered on. And this is because, well, the code inside the void loop will be run at full speed. Okay, and full speed for Arduino is a few hundred megahertz. So when you compare that to what we as humans are able to see, well, this is way too fast for us to see the LED blink. So what we need to do is to add a small delay. Okay, we need to make the program stop between those two instructions. Okay, and what we are going to do is to use the function delay. Okay, so delay like this with parentheses, and let's put 1000. We close the parentheses and semicolon. So delay will simply stop here for the amount of millisecond that you provide here. This is not second, this is millisecond. So 1000 millisecond means 1 second. Okay, so if we look at how the program will be run, so first the setup and then the loop, we power on the LED, we wait for 1 second, then we power off the LED, and then what will happen here is that we directly come back to the beginning of the void loop function. So just after we power it off, we are going to power on the LED. So we need to also add a delay here. Okay, because otherwise we will not be able to see the LED powered off, because it will directly be powered on just after that. Alright, I know the program is complete, so if you want you could add also different comments here to describe what you are doing. And to make sure you understand how the loop works, well, basically I could just copy and paste that code an infinite number of times, okay, and this is how the code will be executed. Instead, I just need to provide the code once, and I know that after line 10, so we close the loop function will be called again, and we go back to line 7. Alright, it looks good, so now we can upload this program to our Arduino board. The first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to compile with this button, with verify button, I'm going to compile the code, and it will ask you to save the sketch. So with Arduino, a program is called a sketch, okay? So it will ask you to save the sketch, and what you can do is simply give a name, let's say first program. Save, okay, it will compile. And let's see if we have any error. Okay, you can see here done compiling. So if you have this, it means it was successful, and you have some information about space usage and stuff like this. Now let's say that I forgot this semicolon here, and I verify again. So when I verify, it will save the file also. And you can see here we have an error, so we have quite a bit of text. And at the end, you can see expected semicolon before delay. So if you make some error, you will get an explanation here. So the explanation may be clear or not so clear, depends on what kind of error you make, but here it's quite clear. Okay, before the delay, we don't have any semicolon. I'm going to add it here, and now it works. Okay, so plug your Arduino board to your computer, and then with tools, board, make sure that the correct board is selected. So for me it is Arduino Uno, and make sure that you have the correct port. Now I can upload the code. You can see down uploading, and we can see here that the LED on the Arduino is blinking every 1 second. Alright, that's the end of this episode. If you found it useful, you will definitely like my full complete course on Arduino named Arduino for Beginners. This course contains about 7 times more content than the series. You can find the link in the description. Thank you for watching. See you in the course or in the next tutorial of the series.